y'all. Welcome to the Honest to Goodness podcast,
where we give you our honest opinions
on good entertainment. I'm Morgan.
I'm Carrie.
I'm Nicole.
And without further ado, here's today's episode.
We hope you enjoy. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Honest to Goodness podcast, where we give you our honest opinions on good entertainment. I'm your host, Nicole, joined by my wonderful co-host, Morgan, today to talk about When Calls the Heart, season 11, episodes 7 and 8, Facing the Music and Brother's Keeper. And we are missing Carrie today, unfortunately. She had some stuff going on today. But we miss you.
We miss you, Carrie. Yes, she isn't feeling very well, so we wanted to make sure that she got her much needed rest. Plus, some family time would do her good as well. So,
yes.
We love you, Carrie.
Yes. And why don't we just get started with these episodes?
Yeah, combining 2 episodes means that we have a lot to discuss in a very short amount of time. Because we don't want to give you guys like a 4-hour long podcast, though. I feel like some of you would really like that.
Who knows?
How? I have no clue.
Who knows? Do we want to start with the investigation and the resort?
I think so, because I think like these past 2 episodes really gave us some good like progress.
Yeah,
so I
agree. So first, we got to mention in episode 7, not really related to the investigation right now, but maybe it is connected in some way in the future. We don't know yet. The wanted poster behind Nathan, Casimir Shaw, he is a rum runner. And we know from episode 11, there are rum runners coming into town. So I don't think that's a coincidence.
I'm so excited for that episode because I know it's going to bring a lot of mountie action for Nathan, which we've been missing so much this season. Don't get me wrong, I love Nathan, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, Nathan is still my absolute favorite. No disrespect to Jack. I love Jack. Yes. But I do feel like Nathan deserves his own major mountie stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. And it could very well be some kind of connection there, for sure.
I think so too. And we already know that Pike worked for Union City Holdings. Nathan kind of brushes it off, and Bill thinks it's a connection between the two. And, Nathan wants more proof, which is understandable. You need more proof.
Well, I mean, he's a Mountie, and much like Bill, he's also got that investigator side. He knows what's actually going to be taken seriously in court and what's not. And he knows how things are looking right now, seeing as the case is technically closed and they've made their arrest. So they have to be careful about what they try and open the case back up with, because they have to make sure that there's no way of being able to blast any kind of holes in what they have presentable. So he knows how the court is going to react. He knows how the judge is going to react. And he wants to make sure that whenever they finally do present evidence to counter the fact that Pike was trying to put it towards the actual person who shot Lucas, they have to be very nitpicky and very careful. I told them that what the last episode before, in episode 6, whenever they were pointing out the gun situation.
Could you repeat that? You cut out. I had no clue what you just said.
Oh, of course I did. Basically what I was saying is, granted, Bill does too, but seeing as he was a part of this particular investigation, he knows what the judge is going to be looking for and what will actually benefit Pike and, of course, Lucas, because the killer, well, attempted killer, is still possibly out there.
Yeah.
So it's important that they make sure everything is very tight and there's no way that they can blast any kind of holes in their evidence.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, yeah. And plus, he's sticking his neck out. And with Hargrave breathing down his neck all the time, I can understand why Nathan would want to be very careful also with that.
Yeah. And we see Bill and Rosemary meet Hazel. And I did think it was a sweet moment, but maybe possibly manipulative too on Hazel's part when she says that
you're frozen.
Oh, am I frozen
No,
now?
You're good now. Technical difficulties all around. It'll be okay. Everybody's used to it.
Okay, now you're frozen.
But yeah, no,
okay, let me start that over. Okay, it's a little better.
Yeah. Okay,
let me start that over.
Yeah, so, I think I'm kind of worried. Yeah.
So Bill and Rosemary, they meet Hazel, and I did think it was sweet, but maybe a little manipulative too, when she mentions that Clayton was her miracle baby, and, you know, Rosemary can relate, but maybe that's just Hazel trying to influence.
Well, that's the thing. How would Hazel know that the baby was that? Well, how would she know that Rosemary was even has baby? Because she didn't even know because I mean she talked about how she was coming to meet a lady reporter with Rosemary standing right there. Like she was talking towards Rosemary and Lee. So I feel like she doesn't know she never knew that Rosemary or Lee were probably together or married or whatever or had a baby. So the only thing that worries me about her is that she talked about having a bad memory. And things like that.
Yeah.
So that kind of worried me a little bit because I was like, well, if they could find fault in her thing, like they could easily fault her out, like, you know, either chalk it up to her just being a mom, sticking her neck out for her kid, lying, in order to save her miracle baby from going to jail. And if her memory is even the tiniest bit fuzzy, they could easily rule her out for that as well, which I don't know if we'd ever even see that kind of thing in court. I feel like they're not even going to have to go to court. I think that they're going to have the true person. I feel like it's going to be kind of like how they did with Higgins. They're going to have this dude, whoever it is, whether it's Montague or someone completely different, they're going to trap him into confessing in a way that they think he doesn't think that it's going to actually bring anything you know, to court or whatever. Yeah. I think it's going to be accidental, almost an accidental confession, but it's going to be legit.
Yeah. I think that's
so they're not going to have to bring it to court again.
Yeah.
And have to go through that whole situation again.
Yes. So we also hear that Clayton could have been paid to take the fall. He never did any after hours work with Montague. He was just a shift worker and never worked with him directly. Now, what's interesting is Montague sent flowers to Hazel when she was in the hospital.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, I know that's one of the main things was that was a big proof because it's like I think Nathan pointed out, like how else would he know where to send the flowers if he didn't know where she was? And you only got that information if you were the one that paid for the surgery or you were made aware of it. And why would Montague be made aware of where she was at and the fact that she had a surgery?
Yeah.
You know, he's just another worker for him. Why would he care about one of his workers' moms? He doesn't seem like that type of guy unless.
Yeah, exactly. I did kind of laugh when Nathan wants to know if Hazel's still in town and Rosemary's like, no, she had to go home to feed the cats.
You can even tell by the way that she said it, that she was just like, I know what it sounds like, but I promise you, she's not a crazy old cat lady. She's legit.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she is a little quirky.
Mm-hmm.
She's a little bit of a quirky character.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
But, you know, whenever you're thinking of it as from a Mountie mindset, and you can kind of start putting in your mind in her alibi for her son.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is sad, but that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. And Hazel claims it couldn't have been Clayton since he was with her the night of the election.
Mm-hmm.
And according to her, the Mounties forced him to confess because they needed somebody to blame. And I'll probably
I don't
mention
think
this.
he was forced. I definitely don't think he was forced by the Mounties, because Nathan was one of the Mounties. And second of all, you know, it, from what it sounds like, it was very like quick thing. It happened way too quickly. So I feel like them trying to force him to confess so that they could close the case and not deal with it and stuff like that, like, you know. But and it happened in episode 8, you know, where Pike, we know, like, for any spoiler alerts or whatever, for anyone files would you be watching this episode, but Pike mentions not even the Mountie can scare this guy off. It does kind of make you wonder, does he have the Mounties in his pocket? Like, could she actually be kind of saying something that's true? Like, could the other Mounties that aren't Nathan have made Pike confess?
I was gonna say it a minute ago, but I'm not ruling out that cough cough Hardgraves is not involved.
Oh, I mean, like, I know, I'm kind of wondering that too, because it's like he's so hard on Nathan. So I feel like any investigation, anything that he is deep and heavy in, Hargraves is going to have his eye on that. He's going to be watching very closely everything that Nathan does and says. And if Pike is right, which I'm sure he is, and this person has somewhat control over the Mounties, that's going to make this even bigger.
Yeah. Totally agree.
So I really hope that if there is some crookedness, which I feel like there is, but if there is actually some truth to the crookedness of Hargraves, I hope we actually get to see that in real time. Of him, like them pulling an investigation on him, and Nathan finally getting the justice that he deserves after the whole Fort Clay situation, alongside the accusation that he was the reason why that other Mountie got killed, which we know he didn't, but you know what I mean. It would be at least Nathan getting justice that he deserves.
Yeah. And going to episode 8, I did kind of laugh in the first scene when Clayton arrives in Hope Valley. You know, Rosemary is so enthusiastic to talk to Clayton. And, you know, Bill's like, the two of us might overwhelm him. And Rosemary's like, nonsense. You catch more bees with honey. Who said that first? Abigail to Jack.
Yep, she did. And it's actually a callback, because we talk about this in the you talked about this in the group chat, talking about no, it was Carrie, I think, that brought back up the fact that she calls little Jack Honey Bear. And how that can correlate back to Jack, because of, one, you catch more flies with honey.
The bear, deer, and skunk.
Also, yeah, exactly.
Yep. And I love that.
Yeah. I love any kind of callbacks to the really, like, early on seasons. Not just like season 6, season 7, but also, you know, 3, 4, 5, even the first and second seasons with Jack.
Yes. I did also.
But no, I love Bill and Rosemary's banter. I love how they really are making a great team together, but they also still have like their moments where Bill's gonna have to be like, has to like reel her in, but like, look, you need to, like, you know, calm down, you know, because Nathan had just talked about how they had to keep it very strictly like professional, because you know, he didn't want to get any suspicions put on him for having Pike make a stop in Hope Valley. Because, I mean, think about it. That is really suspicious for Pike to have a drop off at Hope Valley, where everyone knows the governor is, where everyone knows that Nathan, who is one of the lead investigators of the investigation, is. I mean, that is pretty suspicious, especially with the case being closed, Pike being arrested, Pike going on his way to serve his sentence for attempting to murder the governor. And there goes Rosemary, wanting to go right behind the Mounties as they're bringing him in, like, grab her by the arm, like, hold up.
Yep.
Take a step back.
Yep.
What did Nathan just say?
Yeah. You're going to slow mo.
But I laughed a little bit. Yeah, I laughed a little bit at Pike's reaction when Bill asked him, like, you know, straight up, like, we know you didn't do this. We know you didn't do it. You know,
tell us who hired you.
Like, to tell us who hired you. And he just like looks around and then he lays back and he's like, I wonder what's for lunch. I'm like, okay. Should have saw that coming, but at the same time,
I knew he wasn't.
I knew he wasn't going to confess right off the bat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting him to react like that.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, what I wasn't expecting, I should have expected, but then again, I would never have expected it to happen the way that it did. But Lucas coming in there, demanding the room.
That was a good scene.
That scene, like, even though it was so small and so, like, the length was very small, it was very quick, the intensity in that, like, you could just feel how tense, like, it was in that room. Like, if it was actually really happening. Like, the intensity in Chris McNally really, like, showed his acting skills in the scene with just with just his eyes. The way that he was staring at him and just, like, and, like, the wordplay there of being, like, you know, where he pretty much said, you probably had the words there with you, like the
Clayton, you know, apologizes for what happened to Lucas. You know, he says, I'm sorry for what happened to you. And Lucas wants to know why. You know, he says, I just want to know why. And Clayton says, if I tell you, I'm a dead man. Lucas, and if you don't, am I? So basically, Clayton's got a gun to his head, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, and I feel like that would have been, I mean, I feel like that should be suspected. Especially with the fact that he's taking the fall for something he didn't do. Like, there's no way he's not, like, if it's Montague or maybe someone bigger than Montague, like, there's no way Montague or whoever it is going to just let him take the fall for this and not make sure he goes completely through the whole process.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to want to make sure he knows, like, hey, you're not going to be able to just back out of this. You know, and he's not just afraid of his own life, but his mom's as well. Because we know, like, Montague knows who his mom is as well. Like, it's Montague. I have a very strong feeling it's Montague, but at the same time, I feel like that's the only person people are looking at. And that makes me kind of wonder if it's not him.
I don't know.
Because, I mean, I feel like usually in these kind of situations, whenever they're strictly looking at one person, it's usually not that person, because all of the focus is on them and they're missing all these other possible clues that can be pointing to somebody else. Especially since we were told that we have not met the shooter yet.
Yeah, which makes
that also kind of raises some flags, because it's like, okay, if we haven't met him, that crosses Montague out.
I'm just trying to think of who it could be, because
I know, like, but like, if we haven't met them, how are we supposed to think about them? How are we supposed to think that they're the shooter?
Like,
that's what's really brilliant about this, though. But that's what I'm loving about this is, like, all the eyes are on Montague and we're all thinking like it's Montague, but it's like there is that little small part that's like there's a big chance it's not him. There's a big chance that we're missing a big piece of the puzzle and we're not going to get that puzzle piece until the end. And it's going to blow our minds. And it's going to be so just like gobsmacking.
Yeah. I honestly don't know who it is because I tried
because we had the fact that Lucas literally asks like, what are you doing here? So obviously he knew who his shooter was. But apparently we don't know because we haven't met him yet. And I'm just kind of thinking, okay, who does Lucas know that we don't know, that we haven't met yet?
Yeah, I tried to, see who it was on that flashback, but nope.
It's hard. And honestly, there's occasions where, now granted, this could be wrong, but there's been times where they'll do flashbacks like that. And they'll use a body double for that. So that way they don't give away anything like out of the bat. So whenever they finally bring the reveal the person and they do a flashback again and actually show that person more clearly, it's totally different. Or like the flashback scenes are completely different.
Yeah, totally.
So that could still be a chance for that as well.
Let's see. I think we pretty much covered everything with the investigation. Is there anything else you wanted to bring up? Morgan?
Sorry, I had to tell my mom. Yeah, my business. I think that's it.
Yeah.
For the investigation.
Yeah, you totally cut out there, but whatever.
It's okay.
Now you're back. Now on to the resort. There was a lot in episode 7, but not as much in episode 8. And I'm actually glad that we didn't get as much in episode 8 because I don't think it was needed.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't think, because I mean, what we did get in season 8, especially that last part with Gowan and Edwin and Lucas, that was major. And I think it kind of gave us some intel about how this is going to go down. But yeah. Okay, I could be very wrong. And maybe this is because we've seen Lucas be like this before. But I'm kind of wondering if what Nathan, Bill, and Rosemary are digging up is not being what has caused Lucas to turn towards Montague. Because he is supposed to be coming to town soon.
This week.
Yeah, this coming episode. Yeah. So, and we know he's probably coming because of his
bid?
What's it called? Yeah, his bid. I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word for some reason. But like obviously he's coming into town because Lucas probably officially took his bid for the resort. But I'm kind of wondering if that's not all been like the whole, like probably not like obviously the beginning whenever he first put his bid in, but whenever he started turning back towards Montague, this because of all of the other exhausted efforts. Well, because around the same time that he finally exhausted all of his efforts, Nathan and mainly Rosemary and Bill gave Lucas more intel, especially with like the gun and stuff, that I feel like probably has gotten to Lucas' head, and he's like, if this is true, if he is possible for this, I want him under my nose. I want him close to me. And what better way than to take his bid? But that's just my theory. Because I mean, I just don't feel like Lucas Lucas knows how the town, especially Elizabeth, Henry, and multiple other people in the town, such as Rosemary and Lee, they know how everyone feels about Montague. He knows how he himself feels about Montague. So I just feel like saving the resort. Granted, we found out in season 8 that in Benson Hills they've lost a major project, which is costing a lot of jobs. So I'm not saying that doesn't counter into it, but I don't know. I just feel like there's more to this than just that, than just the fact that he's not getting other bids, or the fact that Montague is the only bid that he feels like he can trust. Because let's face it, I wouldn't trust Montague with a 31.5-foot pole. So I would.
I called that reference. The Grinch.
Anyways, yes, the Grinch.
31.5-foot pole.
Yep. Threw a little Christmas in the end of the day for you guys.
Let's see. Montague. Oh. Never mind. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now I can hear you, but you're like freezing.
Of course I am.
Technology.
We love it. Gotta love technology. Can you hear me?
No, not really. It's still cutting out.
Does not like me. It really just does not like me.
Okay. Are we good?
You good?
For now, we are. Okay,
we better hurry up then.
Okay, so my thoughts. I feel like Edwin is maybe the one telling people not.
Yeah. Because I'm like, why is he pushing so hard for Montague? He knows that Montague tried stealing water from this town.
He's being sketch right now.
He's being very sketchy, but I'm trying not to focus too much on Edwin because I'm badly afraid that he's red herring.
I don't think he's the one that did it, but I think he knows more than...
I feel like he knows more than what he leads on, and I feel like he's got some things under his sleeve, and he's trying to puppeteer Lucas. And Henry's got him pegged. You can look at Henry. Henry's got him pegged. And he's just like in this past episode, he was just like standing there pleading with Lucas, like I would like pretty much telling him like just cut it off. Like, don't do it. If we're not getting bids, like, why isn't that throwing a red flag at you that no one is wanting to bid on this resort? Nobody, like, Mayor Hickam doesn't want the resort to happen. You know, why don't you really listen to what she is trying to say? Because even Henry has pointed out, yes, those very possibilities could happen with us getting a resort.
I would totally, if I had to pick, like, really, between Montague and Jeanette, I would so pick Jeanette over.
I mean, I understand Lucas's concerns because he knew her more personally than anyone else. She does have a past, much like he does. And I feel like that's going to be something that Lucas is going to have to learn. Like, just because, like, yes, he had his past as well, and he changed, and he has to understand that, yes, not everybody who has a sketchy past like him changes, but they can't. That Jeanette has just much of an ability to change as he did.
Yeah. And
now if her, you know, and we found out in this past episode that Henry checked on the investors that were backing up Jeanette's bid, and he's like, they all come up out of the up and up. You know, they all seem like they're on the right end of everything. Now that could turn out to be a lie, you know, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Jeanette knew that they were a farce. She could be a completely innocent bystander who was tricked into believing that they're okay people, or she could actually be a part of an up and up kind of group that's actually innocent of any kind of wrongdoing and truly just wants to bid on this resort.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like we've already discussed this in past episodes, none of us believe that the resort is actually going to pull through. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be something else better in store that Jeanette and her people could bid on.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I am 100% with Henry in these 2 episodes. I'm sorry, Lucas, but no.
Yeah.
I mean,
but at the same time, it's like, and maybe it's just because he's never been governor before, but Lucas is so smart that I feel like there's something that there's a card up his sleeve that he is not showing anyone right now.
I think he has good intentions, but he's not executing the way he should.
Yeah, that could be a part of it, and it could be all a farce, and he's got a good poker face, and he's got a card up his sleeve. I don't know. It could be either one.
I mean, he could just be, by calling Montague, maybe he's trying to play him. Like, there is a saying, I think, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
And exactly. And I feel like Lucas is very much one of those people that lives by that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know. He could completely be making the wrong moves right now with good intentions behind it. But a part of me just feels like he's got a card up his sleeve because he's got a really good poker face. And Lucas is very intelligent. And I just can't see him having Montague and accepting his bid and having him come back to Hope Valley if he didn't have a good reason.
Yeah. And like when they were talking about using the emergency fund, I was like, Lucas, no. People are not going to want to use their tax money to pay for a resort. I mean, a hospital or a train station, I think, are the 2 examples Teresa gave in our review for episode 7 last week. But a resort, that's
later. A resort, yeah. I mean, I get wanting something big like that to provide jobs, but there's other things that you can do besides just a resort that can provide jobs. Such as, like a train station or a hospital. That would definitely bring more to Faith's storyline.
Yeah, I mean, we have a train station, so not a train station, but a hospital.
Or even just update, or even just use a lot of the money and stuff like that. Like, it just to update the hot springs, make the hot springs better without actually doing a resort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No resort. This is not going to work out. I can just see
This is a no resort podcast.
It's not going to work out.
It's not. There's no way. Because we even got part of the synopsis for one of the episodes, and I think it's episode 11 or episode 12, where Lee and Rosemary give Lucas a good idea.
I think it's, it's 12.
Yeah.
It's episode 12.
I think it's 12 too. Yeah, so I don't feel like the resort I don't think the resort storyline is going to end until episode 12. And it's going to end on Rosemary and Lee giving Lucas a replacement idea, which I can't wait for. I can't wait for them. I can't wait for that because, initially Lee and Rosemary were the biggest inspirations for the resort in the first place because they were the ones that provided the land that the resort's going to be on. So it'd only be fitting for them to pick out what goes on that land.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens.
This might be wishful thinking, but maybe a theater. Rosemary finally gets her theater. Probably wishful thinking, though.
Hey, you never know.
I mean, we never thought they'd flip back to Nathan and Elizabeth, so...
Exactly. I'm just kind of thinking of some things that were very popular back in that time that made big waves. We'll have to do our research, but it could be a theater. Yeah.
I love that. Rosemary finally gets...
her finally getting her theater, and it provides jobs and it helps the town, for sure.
Yeah. Yes. I wonder what building would be... I wonder what building the theater would be in.
Right? It's we know Jamestown can't build any more houses or buildings on their set, so they're limited.
Yeah, if I were to guess, if they were gonna go the theater route, probably
It'd be
the
the
only
saloon.
it'd be the saloon or mm,
I feel like the saloon is the only one that has like the massive space for like theater seats and a stage.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
maybe the schoolhouse, maybe.
maybe, yeah, because they can take the seats out or
Yeah,
the pews. They can take the pews
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah,
I guess it really depends on how they sell it, like how big they sell it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
mm-hmm,
The only thing is like obviously they're gonna want to show like the outside
yeah,
of the building, especially with it being like a new building. So I'm kind of wondering if it's gonna be anything that actually is a building.
maybe,
Because it doesn't, because with them being limited on being able to build another building, it kind of makes you wonder,
yeah,
like, is it going to be something that actually requires a building, or is it something that can actually be just used for the nature of everything?
mm-hmm, yeah. Well, I guess we will see how this
I
resort
guess so.
goes downhill.
Big thumbs down for the resort, but I'm really loving this. I do love
Yeah,
this storyline though, because it's really bringing out a lot for Lucas as
yeah.
governor.
I think
And
it's
it has some ties, obviously, to the investigation. Um, yeah, and I can't wait to find out what all kind of correlates from it.
yeah,
I do think that Lucas has something up his sleeve. I
yeah.
don't think that he's underestimating Montague at all.
No, yeah. And I do think it's growing his character too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to see a different side of Lucas that we haven't
Mhm.
gotten to see, that a lot of us have wanted to see, that
Mhm.
we didn't get to see while he was dating Elizabeth. And I don't think that if him and Elizabeth did get married, that we're even going to get to see that side of Lucas, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
um, but man, I cannot wait for someone, I don't care if it's Lucas or Henry, putting Edwin in his place, because he's getting on my nerves.
Mhm. I
He's
mean,
getting on my nerves. I
I
mean, I
like
love it, but it's like at the same time, I'm just like, can you please tell him to shut up?
I like the actor. I mean, Eric
Oh yeah,
Dow
he's
is
doing and
fantastic.
but that shows you how good of an actor he is, because he's
Yeah.
getting that negative reaction out of the audience,
Yes.
and that's hard to do. It's not easy to make an audience not like you as it
Mhm.
is to like you.
Yeah. I'm glad he is joining the show. He's great.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're getting to see more of him, and obviously how
Mhm.
him and Lucas's scenes are, along with, of course, adding Henry and even Lee and
Mhm.
them to the mix as well.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't want the character to get told what for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the Canfields in these two episodes. What did you think about their storyline?
I loved it.
Yeah. You're frozen again.
I was kind of thinking, I'm frozen again.
For
God,
technology.
I hate TikTok.
Oh my lord.
Okay, what about now?
Okay, I can hear you, but your camera's still a little
Okay,
iffy.
what about now?
Nope.
So if you,
Yeah. It's like
okay,
your video and audio are behind.
of course. I'm trying to see if like turning my camera and stuff off doesn't help.
Okay,
Is it
now
helping?
now it's better for now. Okay. So you were
Okay.
saying.
Okay. So I wasn't expecting it to go the way that it went. I knew Minnie and his relationship with Minnie was going to be somewhat involved in what was going on between Joseph and his brother. So I was like, but I wasn't expecting it to be the way that it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do think that it's a good reason. And I love that Henry was the one that ultimately helped Joseph to see that.
Yeah.
And what he was saying is exactly right. Unfortunately, a lot of times, as human beings, it's really hard for us to not only ask for forgiveness, but most importantly, to forgive.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, and I can't imagine having to try and forgive someone for something I don't know I'm asking for forgiveness for. Because like, how can you properly say sorry for something if you don't even know what you're saying sorry for?
Yeah.
So I understood Joseph's side of things, but when Henry said what he said about how, why do you have to have a reason? Why do you have to know if, at the end of the day, you hurt him, yes, you didn't intentionally want to hurt him, but you did hurt him. And you're sorry for that, right? Like, you're sorry for the fact that you did hurt him.
If you regret hurting,
yeah.
If you regret hurting him, what does it matter the reason why or how?
Right.
Your family.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that was definitely a message a lot of people need to hear right now. And this came from Henry of all people. But it's like Joseph said, who better to talk about forgiveness than Henry Gowan?
Exactly. Yeah. Gotta love a good porch swing conversation.
I love that we got the porch swing back. That was so good.
Me too. Yes. And it was a good scene between them.
Yeah. And I feel like what Henry said to Joseph would have been something that Abigail would have definitely said to him if like she was there. And I love that we got to see like the hazelnut trees, and it kind of felt like Abigail was there.
Yes. And I just got to mention this really briefly because it was really cute from episode 7 when Joseph walks in the cafe and he calls Minnie baby. That was so cute.
I know, they are so, I love how, like, I don't want to say that their relationship is underrated, but it kind of is. But I think it's because it's at a much like mature stage, because they've been married consistently for years. They have 2 children who are in their teenage years in school. So they have a more mature love that we don't really have a whole lot of, other than Rosemary and Lee. They're technically the longest married characters in our show, because technically, even though Ned and Florence are older, their marriage is still technically new, because they haven't been married for as long as they've been, so I feel like they're the 2 most mature relationships that we've got on the show as far as like years of being married. So I just love how they are with each other. I love that she was able to, and I love that Minnie was able to be there for Joseph, but also be there for his brother
Jacob,
because he understood. She technically grew up with him as well. She spent just as much time with him as she did with Joseph growing up and as they were dating. So it was great. It was sad to like actually realize that Angela and he had never met them.
You cut out.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but it's like lagging. Okay, now it's not.
It is really sad. It's really sad that Angela and Cooper grew up without ever getting to have a relationship with him, and vice versa. Because like from the sound of it, it's like he didn't have any family at all. It's like he cut ties with everyone. And pretty much, secluded himself. He gave up church, he gave up singing, gave up everything simply because it's one situation. Not saying that it wasn't a good enough reason, but it is kind of crazy. But it just kind of goes to show you how one person reacts to a situation isn't how everyone's going to react. So I really like the way that they handled the situation.
Yeah.
I think it's a situation that everyone can relate to. I think like if it's a situation that everyone can relate needed. And I like that we finally got to get even deeper into the background of the Canfields, especially Joseph.
Yeah. I was totally not expecting the reason to be what it was. I thought it was going to be something about like, Joseph being mad that Jacob, became, I think agnostic is the right term.
Agnostic.
Agnostic, yeah. Or that Jacob was sweet on Minnie.
That's what I was kind of thinking. I was thinking that he was sweet on Minnie, and like he got jealous and upset that Joseph and Minnie got together. Because it would explain why he never met Angela and Cooper and like never reached out, never wanted anything to do with Joseph. Because it was around the time that they got married and around the time that they became a family, I think, is when all of it kind of started to happen.
Yeah.
Especially because Minnie talked about how she would see the way that they were together, how close they were. So it was like you could tell that Minnie had been around them prior to their relationship. So I was expecting that too. But technically, Minnie was a part of the situation. Not exactly the way that we thought.
Yeah.
But she was a part of the situation because Joseph pretty much abandoned Jacob because part of it being their grandfather's death. And also because he was in a relationship with Minnie and, you know, Minnie sings. So he started singing with Minnie and building a singing relationship with Minnie and kind of like going into her, which is what happens when you get married.
He felt abandoned.
Yeah, he felt abandoned, which was right for him to feel that way. But it also goes to show you how much communication is so vital to any relationship. And how if you don't communicate, you don't show clearly what you feel and how you feel, and what, especially when someone does something to you to make you feel that way. If you don't communicate to that person, you know, how are they supposed to properly apologize? How are they supposed to properly fix what they did, you know, and not do it again, kind of thing as well.
Yeah. And not the same reasons, of course, but, you know, when it was basically mentioned, not word for word, that Jacob felt abandoned, it actually kind of reminded me of Oliver and Seinfeld Delivered, because I'm sure you, even though you have not watched all of them yet, you know from the storyline that his mother left him when he was young and his wife left him. So like throughout the whole canon up to the most recent movie, Vows, like he was struggling big time with abandonment, and there was a lot of miscommunication with him and Shane.
Yeah. I've seen the first season, and I've obviously seen From Paris with Love. So yeah, and that was actually the episode about his ex-wife leaving him and going to Paris and everything.
And then
so
yeah,
back, yeah. So also, the fact that he joins the choir and how that whole situation happens was so sweet.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the situation with the library, him coming in there and then both looking at each other like, what are you doing here? And then like finally it kind of clicked, like, of course, the kids setting us back up together.
In some ways, not like with parents. This reminded me of The Parent Trap because
same.
Because okay, my mind is blanking. Hallie and what was the other
Annie.
sister? Hallie and Annie. They like intentionally.
Yeah, then intentionally lying, switching places, doing whatever they had to do to get their parents in person together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the scene on the boat, like the date scene on the boat.
Oh my God. Right? But hey, at the end of the day, just like that, it worked.
Yes. Yeah. And I have another theory kind of related to The Parent Trap based on something Sarah and Julie said about Nathan and Elizabeth, but I'll wait until we get to them to share because yeah.
It's all right. So I think we pretty much covered everything with the Canfields.
Yes.
So do you want to start? Let's see. What is it?
Oh, okay. One more thing I wanted to mention, just from the library scene. I did love Joseph's line to Jacob when he says, God doesn't punch a clock. He's always there to see us through all the things we think are impossible to overcome.
I loved that. It was so good. And it was, of course, so fitting for Joseph to say. Because as a man of God, there's no way that you can't not bring God into a situation like that, especially whenever you're discussing things such as forgiveness. So I love that he said that because it's so true. God doesn't have a time clock. You know, he doesn't punch in and punch out. He doesn't stop listening to us. He doesn't stop protecting us. He's always watching over us, you know.
Yeah.
And it was so fitting for this whole storyline. I loved it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Also, one more thing, because I just remembered. When they mend their relationship and then, you know, they're walking back to the kitchen part of the cafe, and I think Joseph says something like, "Can you out eat me?" And then the blessing that Jacob says was so sweet.
I know. I think Joseph says, "You think you can still out eat me or something like that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, yeah." I love that. That was so cute. I loved it. Yes. I think that those two had some really great chemistry with each other as brothers. So I would love for Jacob to come back
and
stay a little while with her.
Yes.
And that prayer was really sweet. I loved it.
Yeah, it really was. Faith and Lily, they didn't have too much in episode 7.
I loved getting to see. It was so cute that Tom invited them both to eat lunch.
That was really sweet.
Tom was so cute with her. So I loved that.
Yeah, and I loved Lily's little wave as he was leaving. She was like,
yes. So cute.
And before he walked in, I love how Faith and Lily are kind of teasing each other. Like, she takes the stethoscope and she hides it behind her back, and Faith is like,
I know. I love that Faith is really getting the hang of being like an auntie.
Yes.
Even though we have a feeling that she could potentially become her mom, possibly. We don't know yet. There is a possibility that the grandmother could recover and take her back. I kind of hope not. I know that's probably really horrible to say, that you want the granny to pass away, but
it's not.
Well, I take that back. I don't want her to pass away. I would like her to have like pretty much doctor's orders of being like, she needs to be in a home. She needs like 24-hour care. She can't be responsible for a child right now. So we don't recommend her, because I mean, even in those kind of situations, I feel like Child Protective Services would probably step in and be like, it's not that you're an unfit person to take care of her. It's just like in the best interest of both you and her. Medically, we don't suggest you continuing to be her guardian because, you know, of the effects it's having on her health.
She's not going to pass away. I know that for sure because there was a sneak peek, or there was a preview.
Okay.
And I guess the picture that we see from episode 9 when Faith is on the phone, she's talking to Dora, I think. And I guess Dora will be back because she is listed in the episode 9 cast list. The one who plays Dora. Yeah.
I'm really wondering how that's all going to play out. I'm kind of wondering if she doesn't come back and get Lily, and that kind of makes Faith start really thinking about where she wants to be. I think it probably wakes Faith up to how much her life is probably lacking. Not that her life doesn't have any meaning towards it, but I feel like she's going to discover this new part of her because of Lily.
I think,
and how much she grew to love Lily.
My theory is that Lily is going to stay. I just don't know how it's going to play out. I think she's going to remain one of the Hope Valley kids.
I think that I think her as a character and the actress are really good. I think that she has a really great chemistry with Faith.
Chloe.
Yeah, I think that she's really great, and I hope that she sticks around for sure. Because I kind of like, I would love to see episodes of her and Little Jack playing.
That would be really cute.
If they're around the same age, it would be so cute. Plus, we need to see those kind of scenes with Little Jack. We need to see him interacting with other kids that are his age. So that would just be perfect.
Yeah, I think she'll stay. And Little Jack is going to be in school next year.
Yeah, and if Lily is around the same age, she will be too. I think she is around. I think they're both the same age, or at least close to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be really cute.
Also, another reason why I think Lily is going to stay is because, like, if she doesn't stay and, you know, continue to
it would be kind of abrupt. It'd be almost like a black hole situation.
Yeah, it would be like what was the point of that for Faith's storyline
Right.
if they're just
Right.
gonna have her
I mean, I
leave?
can see it. I guess I could see it as a segue to showing Faith stepping into a new part of her life, but it's like at the same time, she's not dating anyone right now. She's not in a relationship with anyone. There's no one really in town anymore that's single. Unless they bring Tom in permanently or bring Carson back, or of course bring a whole new character back, it would still take a lot of time for her to get to that place where she can be a mom. Unless the person that they bring in that's new has a kid already. So I feel like it would be really crazy for them to just bring Lily in and then scoop her back out, without a really good explanation and good transition.
Yeah, I don't think they
And I
would
just
do
don't
that.
see one. Yeah, I just don't see one happening that's good enough for
No.
the storyline is played out. So I'm feeling very confident that we're gonna have Lily stick around, which I would love.
Yeah. Lindsay is not JT.
Yeah.
She
God.
doesn't
Thank God.
doesn't create plot holes.
Right.
She fixes plot holes.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, and I loved getting to see Faith and Tom.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering how they were gonna have them like be around each other. But I loved it. I thought that it was really cute, and I love that Tom just he was remembering so many people. He was remembering Faith. He was remembering Rosemary, of course, because because they don't talk about it a whole lot. I'm glad that they did bring back the fact that Tom and Rosemary grew up together alongside Jack.
I love that
she grew up with Tom too. And so I love they kind of did a little bit of a playback of like whenever they were kids. And we got to hear a little bit more of that. I love how excited she was to see him and everything. And like, it was just so cute to have them play out the way that they were. And I love that, how Rosemary remembered what happened in Hamilton and how she herself was kind of getting worried about whether or not Tom was being true, or if he was kind of up to his old ways, or if he had changed. And of course, we're glad that he actually did, and that this was not something that he was intentionally doing, that he was unfortunately used just as much as the others were. But yeah, I was really loving the fact that Tom had a lot of interaction with more than just Elizabeth. We actually got to see him have a little bit of an introduction with Lucas. And then, of course, his interactions with Nathan were really great, especially in episode 8. I loved his interactions with Nathan in episode 8, for sure. I can't hear you.
I forgot I was on mute. Before we get into Tom a little bit more and Nathan and Elizabeth, I did want to briefly talk about the scenes with Lee and Rosemary in really episode 8, because they didn't have any in episode 7.
Have that many in season 7. Yeah.
Except for the one in the saloon when they see Tom and
when they're
talking about the song and stuff.
And that's a little well, I guess he met no, I take that back, because it took me a second, because I was like, wait, did Tom ever meet Lee? But he met Tom at the wedding.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, he didn't go to Hamilton.
No. Yeah, he met him at the wedding.
Yeah.
Or it was, I guess, what's the word? I don't even know if we actually saw that meeting. We might have.
I don't think we actually saw them and have an introduction to each other or anything.
It was just
it was just it was kind of a given, because they were all in the same place. They were there to celebrate Jack and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was kind of a given.
Yeah.
Especially with Lee being, because Lee was Jack's best man.
Yeah.
So I mean, and of course them growing up with Rosemary. Rosemary would, of course, introduce Lee to Tom.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a gift, even though we didn't see it.
Yes, exactly. But the short walk and talk in town in episode 8 with Lee and Rosemary, when they're talking about Goldie being a social butterfly and apparently the most popular kid in daycare, and Rosemary says she hasn't even started talking yet. When that happens, look out, world. And Lee's like, I wonder where she gets that from.
I love that Rosemary automatically knew it was her. She's like totally okay with it. She's like, I'm proud to be the talkative one. Okay, I'm proud to be the loudmouth.
Yep. And Lee's like, pretty soon I won't get a word in edgewise because I'll be too busy hanging on every gem that falls from your lips.
That was a nice save, though. That was a nice save.
Yes. And then Lee's reaction to Rosemary talking to Pike, of course he's concerned.
Loving, protective Lee, of course.
And then being needed for the emergency choir meeting, and he's like, a choir meeting? Is she in
what emergency do you need with the choir?
Yes. And then the dance at the festival.
Oh my God. I love that. I love seeing that fun side to them.
Yes. You are the mayor. You are the consummate host, and you trip the light fantastic with the best of them. Is there anything you can't do? We'll find something, I'm sure.
I love them. They always have like the best lines with each other, and I love them. They're so just Kevin and Pascal really do have like some of the best chemistry. Which obviously they've done multiple movies together outside of When Calls the Heart that justifies it. Like it's not just the writing and it's not just Rosemary and Lee, it's just them two as a whole.
Yeah.
As a partnership that we can see they just have such good chemistry.
Yes. When they were dancing cheek to cheek, that was I love them. I love them.
I want to see more of them in Goldie, though. I can't get enough
Me
of them.
too. Yeah.
Goldie. I can't get enough of them.
Yes. Fingers crossed we'll see more before the season ends.
Hopefully so.
Yes. Now, Nathan and Elizabeth and Tom and the choir.
Yeah. So I guess we start with Tom.
Yeah.
Since he kind of is the one that really brought so many of the Nathan and Elizabeth scenes that we did get to have.
Yes. Okay. So first, before we get into the scenes with Nathan and Elizabeth, I just briefly wanted to mention, I thought it was hilarious when he was in the cafe with Faith and Lily, how Minnie and Florence and Molly ambushed him about the choir.
I know, right?
They were like,
I feel like we
is
should have
everything okay?
I definitely feel like we should have saw that coming. Because I mean, I feel like that's very much classically Molly and Florence. But to have Minnie kind of ambush him was hilarious. You're mute.
Okay. No, we got to mention Elizabeth's journal entry.
Yes.
She says, at what point did I stop feeling only grief when I thought about you and began feeling gratitude instead? Gratitude for the time we had together, for our wonderful son, and for the sense that you were always with me. Today of all days, I feel you near. I know Jack Jr. does too, and I hope you know you'll always have a special place in my heart, no matter what the future holds. And the transition, I loved the transition, how when she says that, it cuts straight to the Mountie office and Nathan.
I know. I loved that so much. And I feel like that's so telling, obviously, of the trajectory of obviously that we know is happening.
Yes.
But this is like probably one of the rare moments that we actually hear her call Jack Jr. because we're always talking about she's always being referred to as Lord Jack. Which I love. I like Little Jack better than Jack Jr. But I love that we like that journal entry wasn't really a journal entry. It was like just a love letter to Jack for his birthday, which I thought was so cute.
Yes.
I love that it was Little Jack's idea to get balloons and stuff for him. That was so sweet. Because of course, when we get the preview and we saw the pictures, Tom was the one that was holding the balloons and the flowers. So we thought that Tom was the one that did the flowers and the balloons, but really it was Little Jack who decided. I thought that was so sweet.
Yeah. I love when they're at the grave and the transition to Tom catching the balloons. That was brilliant.
That was a good camera work. that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was really sad though that little Jack didn't know who Tom was. That was the first time he'd ever gotten to meet Tom.
Yeah.
But obviously with him working the way that he works, it's not exactly uncommon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
But it just kind of goes to show you just how much like Lee and Rosemary and Nathan and Allie and all the people in the town are basically Elizabeth and Little Jack's only real family.
Yeah.
So and the way they just kind of all come together.
Yeah. I'm so glad we got to see Elizabeth talking to Jack again at the grave. And when she says, "You'd be so proud of him, our boy's growing up."
I know. I was like, ah.
And then when Tom says, "You look so much like your dad when he was your age." Excuse me while I go cry a puddle of tears.
Right? I knew this episode was going to be chock full of like mentions of Jack because of the fact that it's, going to be circled for his brother. And this is like Tom's like first time being in Hope Valley again in such a long time. And this being, the place where his brother was stationed. This is where the place where his brother fell in love with Elizabeth. This is, his people, his life, his family were here all here. So I knew that they were going to have a lot of moments for Tom kind of having a lot of flashbacks to his brother, being reminded of his brother and everything. And I feel like it definitely took a toll on Tom. You can kind of see him having moments, especially with the way that he like put the flowers down, the way he just kind of like held his hat to his chest and just like looked at the tombstone. I was just like, oh, you could just feel the grief still on him. And the fact that he feels like, he still hasn't lived up to Jack, and he still feels like he's that little kid always screwing up.
Yeah, that scene or that moment when he lays the flowers at the grave,
Yeah, I know, because that was the first time he visited his grave. That was his first time coming to Hope Valley. That was his first time his grave, and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how it really was for Tom to be in that moment and feeling all those emotions like that. Because I definitely feel like it probably puts everything to the real forefront of his mind and it really puts a realness to it. Because I feel like there's some levels of grief that doesn't happen until you get more of a realization like, hey, this is real. Like he's really not here. He's really not, being this big, tough Mountie in this small little town. He's gone.
Yeah.
And I love that he like got really proud of Faith whenever he found out she had officially been a doctor, and how he didn't shock him.
Yeah.
And it didn't shock him that she had become a doctor. He's like, I should have known better. I should have known that she would, make something of her life like that.
Yeah. I like when they mentioned the joyride with Julie, and he was like, I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up.
He's like, are you kidding? Jesus, like, are you kidding?
And I did love Elizabeth's words to him. She says, Jack may never have told you this, but he always knew you'd find your way. And when you did, the sky would be the limit. He believed in you. I believe in you. I love the brother-sister dynamic between them.
Yeah, I'm glad that we still see her being his sister-in-law.
Yeah.
And I love that she's still being like, kind of not necessarily replacing Jack, but just kind of filling that sibling role for him of being like, hey, I love you. I support you. I believe in you. You're going to get through this. This is just, a small little bump in the road and you're going to make it through. You're going to make something of yourself. I believe in you. Jack believed in you, and I'm here to believe in you now. And I think Tom really needed that as well, because like, if you really think about it, I mean, we never really hear from Jack's mom. And from what I'm understanding, he traveled a lot, so he probably wasn't around her. So he probably didn't have a lot of people in his ear telling him and encouraging him. So it was probably really nice for Tom in that time to hear all of that coming from Elizabeth.
Yes. Tom works for J.B. Sweeney Publishing and Musical Promotions, and he helps Sweeney scout new acts and has been signing up local choirs for the festival in Salt Lake City, which doesn't happen.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, that did not happen. but yeah, you could see that Elizabeth was conflicted because she was like, she wants to believe in Tom. She wants to believe that Tom has really turned over a new leaf and has started a new life and is really trying to be, a good person in society and not be this little kid anymore, playing, joking around and not taking life seriously. But you could tell she's still kind of wondering if that part of him is still there. And if he's, because I mean, it's so crazy to hear them talk about how $5 was a lot of money. But it was a lot of money.
It was back then.
It was a lot of money back then. Which, I went back and I watched because I know this next coming episode is going to be about obviously Allie's birth dad.
Yeah.
So I went back to that episode and Dylan was asking for $1,000 from Nathan, and I was thinking, man, if $5 was a lot for Nathan to worry about giving over like that, 1,000 probably was like $1 million to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But back to the whole thing. I love that. Of course, we had Nathan start his like Mountie radar was starting to go off, and I love that Elizabeth was like, "Can you not be such a Mountie about it?" And he kind of just like looks at her like, seriously.
Yeah. And the arm touch. The arm touch.
The arm touch. It was so cute.
Okay, I think
I said he briefly looked at it. He briefly looked at her hand that was on his arm.
Okay, I think I saw somebody else say this probably on Instagram, maybe today, or maybe it was yesterday. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But have you noticed that the physical contact of this season has all been done by Elizabeth?
Yes. Yes. And I was actually going to try and point that out because, like, spoiler alert, in episode 8, we get
we got a what? You cut out.
We got a dance.
Oh, yes.
We got to see them dance.
Yes, okay. Save that till the end, Morgan.
Yeah, I know. But, like, I'm just saying, like, she initiated it. Like, she has been initiating all of the major, like, touching on the arm. Of course, like, wrapping her arm around him and stuff like that on the horse ride, which technically she didn't initiate that. Technically, she kind of had to do that because, like, she was on the horse. But like,
still,
yeah,
it counts.
Yeah, and, like, the shoulder bump that they did on the porch. Like, she did that.
And the head on the shoulder.
Like, laying her head on the shoulder.
The hug.
And there's probably so many more that we're missing because they're like, I love that they're small, gradual things that most people probably would be like, that's no big deal. But really, back in that time, really and truly, women didn't make those kind of moves with the men. It was primarily now maybe further on into the 20s, but we're pretty early on in the 20s in this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's really branching out and putting a big hole in how things used to be and how they're going into now that it's the roaring 20s. It's a new era, new way of living, dressing.
I think in these last 4 episodes of season 11, the physical contact and the and the relationship is about to just go from 0 to 100 in like 2 episodes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with that. I would not be. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought we were gonna get a kiss in the episode 8 with that dance. Like, not gonna go too far into the dance, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say I thought that was gonna be a kiss. I really did. But
I thought it was possible.
Yeah, but I love the way that he was like. I love that the first shot was Kevin trying to get the flowers out of his face.
Yes. But let's see. I'm trying to think.
Oh yeah, what Tom said to her. Like, I love that Tom gave them both kind of his own way of saying, like, I approve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Jack would approve, kind of thing. Got like his own way of, like, not necessarily giving his blessing because he knows, like, I have no authority or no real way of being able to tell you, like, I bless this relationship because it doesn't matter if I it doesn't matter what I think about them getting him. Like, it doesn't matter to him whether or not Nathan and Elizabeth get together.
Yeah,
but he knows that kind of that he is basically a surrogate of Jack.
Yeah.
Him giving his blessing would almost be like Jack giving his blessing.
Yeah. Before we get too much into that, why don't we talk about the scene from episode 7 when, Allie and Angela are singing by the sea and they meet Tom and,
Yes, I forgot. How did I forget about that scene?
Nathan meets Tom. And I love how when Nathan meets Tom, Elizabeth keeps her eyes on him to make sure he's okay. Yeah. And she also says, Hope Valley has been lucky to have you here. I mean, Elizabeth is the town.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I love Nathan's face and him being like, Thornton? Like, he just like, the realization just smacks him in the face. Like, oh, this is Jack's sibling. This is Jack's family.
Yes.
Okay, we're going here. This is what's happening right now.
And the reaction or the facial expression from Nathan when he sees Jack walk up to Tom. Precious.
And then the race, you get to see that little smile that Nathan had. I was just like,
Uncle Tom, race you.
Oh.
And then,
so cute.
Nathan and Elizabeth talk about Jack's birthday and,
him checking on her, like,
and she says it's okay. I think she's at a state of peace now.
Yeah, I think that her
fear is gone pretty much.
Yeah, I think that I feel like there's still something holding her back within the grief of Jack, but it's not like feeling like Jack wouldn't approve or anything like that. I think it really does just come back to the fact, like, is she ready to make that leap again? Like, is she ready to make that big step and bring someone like him, like bring someone into her and Jack's world like that again? You know what I mean? I feel like it's more of that.
I do have another thought, but I'll wait till we're towards the end to share it.
Yeah. I think it's really sweet that he checked on her and he's like just kind of checked with her, like, oh, I'm sorry, like, are you okay? Because I know he knows how that kind of stuff can cause you to grieve, having lost someone so close to him like that. Like, not with Jack and Elizabeth, obviously, because like whenever they were sitting outside the infirmary and she said, like, have you ever lost someone, like that? And he said, not yet. But yeah, I really love watching Nathan reacting to like little Jack and Elizabeth and like Tom and how that poor little threesome is as far as being like the Thorntons.
Yes. And then of course we hear that Nathan sympathizes with Tom being in Jack's shadow, and then Elizabeth says, I don't think of you as being in anyone's shadow. And then the flirting was so cute.
It was so cute. Oh my gosh. I was like, it was the perfect way to kind of start the unraveling of her telling him in that mountain station in season 8 that she was only seeing Jack and him. I don't think that we're done with that storyline.
No.
I feel like that's like literally just like a small, tiny piece.
Oh.
And I feel like it's only going to get like the more we get closer to the last episode, the more and more that Nathan's finally going to get, her showing him and telling him, like, I don't see Jack in you. I see you.
Paul Redford shared in his Heart to Hearties interview last week that conversation is not done.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't.
I mean, I could tell that it wasn't done. I feel like you could just tell the way that they were looking at each other that there was more that she wanted to say and there was more that he even wanted to say, but it was like they just knew that was just the best way to leave it at that point and just enjoy where they were and leave that for a later time whenever, because like I feel like sometimes in relationships you kind of know when appropriate conversations need to happen within the relationship. Yeah.
Paul said that they couldn't just do that in one scene.
And plus like Allie and Angela were right behind them. She was going to try and like catch up with Jack and Tom. Like it just wasn't the right time. But also within the relationship it wasn't the right moment as well. I feel like she was probably waiting for things to be in a different place, maybe. I just felt like there was more that she wanted to say, and she felt like she was I felt like she was purposefully swallowing the words that she wanted to continue to say because she just knew that it was what she said was enough for that moment. Because you see the way that Nathan was smiling at her and everything, like that was enough for him in that moment, but there was more that she was going to want to say.
Yeah. I can respect, I've seen comments from some people, you know, where they really want more like from Elizabeth. Basically, now some are a little out there, I will say. I haven't seen any in a while like this, but I've seen some where they like want Elizabeth to literally grovel or beg for forgiveness. And I can respect people's opinions, but technically, in my opinion, I don't think we need that because, I mean, Nathan's already forgiven her.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be in the place that they're in right now if he still held like resentment towards her for saying what she said to him in that Mountie office. And plus, you can kind of just like, I feel like now he kind of just realized she was saying those things and feeling those things to try and push down the feelings that she had for him. And she was just in that mindset.
I think he knows already.
He knows. Why. Yeah, he knows. But I mean, yeah, I do want there to be a scene where we get deeper into that, obviously. But I don't agree with the groveling. I am glad that she did apologize in episode 8 about not trusting Nathan's instincts. So at least we are getting more of who, like the old Elizabeth. The old Elizabeth that wasn't afraid to admit her faults and admit when she was wrong. And to apologize. So I'm glad that we did get to see her apologize for something, even though Nathan even said like there was no need to apologize, that he trusted her instincts just as much, you know, and stuff.
Yeah, that was really sweet. Yes.
But that goes to show you that she is in that right frame of mind to apologize and just see when she's wrong.
Yeah.
Even with Nathan's concern.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I loved the scene when he says, "I trust your instincts too." That was
I know, it was
and the smiles between them.
Oh, I know. It's just like the little things that I love. And I feel like that's one of the things like I just love. I'm not minding the pace at all. I get why everyone wants there to be like faster because like, you know, we've been waiting for them to be together since at least season 7, if not season 6. I kind of see season 6 as like us getting to meet Nathan and Lucas and getting to know them, and they're not really necessarily being the start of the triangle. I feel like the real start of the triangle didn't happen until at least maybe the finale. You know, the finale of
that was the 6. Start of the triangle.
Yeah, and then like season 7 was like the real start of it. So I feel like, you know, I understand that's a lot. That's a long time, especially with us being in season 12.
Yeah, 11? Or we're in 11 now.
11 now, yeah. So I mean, I get it. We've been waiting a long time for them to be together. And I guess that's the reason why I want them to take their time, because I just want every juicy little gaze from across the room, every little small hand touch, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame anyone for wanting some major things like that happening, and of course, a wedding or an engagement happening at the end of the season. I don't blame anyone for believing that that's what's going to happen. At this point, I don't care. I'm just ready for all the lovey-dovey. Like,
I think
give it slow, give it to me fast, whatever. Just I want as much hand touch and gazes from across the room and blushing and grinning and whatever.
I'll share more towards the end, but I think it's about to drastically pick up with these.
Oh yeah, well, I mean,
episodes with Allie's dad.
Yeah, it's always been like that with Ben Calls the Heart, though. It's like it's like the last 3 episodes, especially. But the last 4, honestly, have always been what I've always seen as being like the major ones. So yeah, it's always been like episode 9 to now 12. Used to when we only got 10 episodes. It was like episode 8, episode 9, episode 10 that were like major. Because they were wrapping all the storylines up. So, but now that we have 12, you know.
I mean, think about where we were last season, episode 8. I mean, I kind of, even in episode 8, earlier than episode 8, I kind of saw the breakup coming, but like we didn't know for sure it was actually going to happen. I mean, episode 8, we
Yeah.
got the apple juice scene. Episode 9, we got the panic attack. Episode 10, we got
Yeah.
the ball and the home speech. Episode 11, we got the breakup. So
yeah. So I mean, honestly, like episode 9, episode 10, 11, 12, they're definitely the major ones now. The major episodes that a lot of things happen. And I do feel like the whole Dylan storyline is really going to catapult things, because I feel like it's going to bring Elizabeth a new perspective. And especially with them as a dynamic of a family. I feel like it's really going to bring them together and make them feel more of like a family, especially for Allie, because in that situation, she's having to face the reality of her dad.
Yeah.
And face the reality that Nathan is her dad, and that her biological dad, there's a reason why Nathan kept the fact that he was still alive and still around from her.
Yeah. And
you can definitely tell that Elizabeth's going to be at the core of that, and like is really going to help kind of mediate like she has done before, where she's like having to give Nathan a new perspective, and then of course having to give Allie a different perspective on things.
I think Kevin did say that like Elizabeth will be by Nathan's side with this.
Yeah.
And Allie too, of course. But before we get more into episode 9 and, you know, what's coming this week, there were a couple other scenes I wanted to mention. Just really briefly, I loved the choir in episode 7 singing This Little Light of Mine. And then, of course, at the festival singing Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
And I think that this second line in Amazing Grace that they sing is foreshadowing to Elizabeth facing her fear, because I think it says, "'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear," and, you know, so on, so on.
Right.
I'm not going to even attempt to sing.
No, you did good. But no, I agree. And plus we got the Daisy Daisy song again, where it talks about, you know,
bicycle made for two.
You know, bicycle made for two.
Or a horse.
Or a horse. Never know. Yeah, I love that the choir sounds so pretty together.
Yeah.
And it just kind of like, you know, it just was really great. I love the songs that they chose for all of it. Also, honorable mention, the fact that Tom just like steps right in front of Maisie when Maisie was doing like her thousands of vows and stuff. Like, I thought that was such a Rosemary. Like, not even Rosemary does that. Like, not even Rosemary is that full of herself.
I love how Maisie's just like, and just walks off.
Yeah, so mad that he interrupted her bowing. And of course, holding the grudge against her for even having, like, you know. Also, I love that Mike was still steady trying to get, like, butt up against Maisie, being like, can you please just, like, stop? Like, making everything so much more worse than they have to be. Can you just, like, back off?
Yes.
Like, give the man some breathing room to even get your money.
Also, the horseback ride.
Yes.
That was so good. And
also, the little bicker between Nathan and Elizabeth whenever they were doing whenever Maisie came up and was like wanting Nathan to arrest Tom. And and then like the whole thing, and then Nathan's like, and she's like, and what happens if he doesn't? And Nathan just kind of looks at her, he's like, oh, well then yeah, you could press charges. And Elizabeth just like whips her head around towards him and like, what?
Yeah. And she says, Nathan, you're not actually going to put Tom in jail, are you? Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. They were totally acting like a married couple in both of these episodes.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? That was full on married couple.
Both of these episodes, not just 7.
No, exactly.
But
and she even knew, like, you could see her facial expression afterwards. She knew, like, he wasn't going to have a choice. He was going to have to arrest Tom because, like, you know.
But real quick, I just got to mention Mike's facial expressions to Nathan and Elizabeth riding the horse. and then the other people in town, they're not a
Right?
secret now. And
Nope.
I mentioned this in my episode 7 review with Teresa, but I saw a comment somewhere last week comparing Mike to Kirk on Gilmore Girls. Mike is the Kirk of Hope Valley.
He really is, because like one of the major things about Kirk was that he has like 1,000 different jobs all throughout Hope Valley. He's always like, now I will say this, Mike isn't weird like Kirk is. Kirk is very weird. But
still a great
yeah,
character, but still very weird.
But the fact that Kirk is always everywhere, Mike was always everywhere, multiple jobs. Yeah. Got on Luke's nerves, which I feel like Mike at times got on Lee's nerves, and probably has gotten on Lucas's nerves a couple of times as well. So that's very fitting.
To make a meme or a reel.
That. Probably so. Like it really is fitting.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I love that scene and of them just bickering back and forth with that whole situation. And then of course just seeing Tom and how he, again, like whenever he was talking with both Nathan and Elizabeth and in his own way giving his own blessing and stuff.
Yeah. He's
and the way he just like looked at them whenever they were walking off after the choir or whatever, he just kind of had that look in his eye, like, okay.
Yeah. When Nathan is talking to him, I love how Nathan, brings up, let me pull it up here. Nathan says, Mounties look out for our own. And, that's after Tom thanks him for all the help. And Tom says, but I'm not a Mountie. And then the mention of Jack and their dad. And Tom says, you and Jack would have really liked each other. And then you and Elizabeth. Tom, I'm really glad she has someone like you in her life. She deserves it.
Oh my God. It was like so perfect.
And
like,
I love
fact, like him say, like I literally squealed when Tom said that Jack and Nathan would have liked each other, because it's so true. So true.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about this in a second when we get to the dance, but I love the scene with Tom and Elizabeth, before the dance. And, he's saying he has to find a new job, and he thanks Elizabeth for believing in him, even when she had no reason to. And she says, the most important thing is that you believe in yourself. And then he catches Elizabeth watching Nathan swatting the flower. And he says he's a good man. And Elizabeth says the exact same words that Nathan does. Tom, and then
I know, I caught that. I was like,
says, you don't have to explain anything, Elizabeth, not to me.
I know that, because it is true. But at the same time, like, just having respect for the fact that, she was married to his brother. And it's like, there is that level of like just honest respect that you just automatically have for your other family, I don't think I just thought about this. What if, like, okay, we talked about earlier how Lee and Rosemary are going to have an idea they're going to present to Lucas to replace the resort idea. What if that's Tom's new job? Because I mean, think about it. Jacob's going to be helping run the hotel.
I would love that.
Jacob's not going to be able to take over that.
I would love that.
Who else would be a job?
Tom. I would love that.
Come on. We need Tom to stick around.
Can Tom please stay in Hope Valley?
Please.
And can Max please stay, because he's fantastic. I love Max.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely. And I think him and Faith and Andrea and Max just have like such great chemistry, and I feel like that would be a great fit for her.
Yeah,
it would be fun. It would be so good to see both of them finally get a win in love. Because like both of them have kind of struggled with that. Him with Julie and her with Carson.
Yeah.
Like,
before I get to the two dances, I did want to briefly mention, I love the scene with Nathan, Elizabeth, and Tom at the train station from 7, you know, when he is talking about how all he ever wanted was for Jack to be proud of him as he's holding the wilted yellow flower. I don't know if you called on to that, but the whole episode up to that scene, the flower was completely intact. But that last scene, it was wilted.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I love how I love how Elizabeth, after, they find out that Sweeney is a con man and the money from the towns is gone. And Tom says, if Jack were here, he'd tell me what to do next. She says, we are here and we're going to find a way out of this. I love how she said we.
I know, right? I was like, already talking like a married wife.
They're totally a couple without even saying that they're a couple. I mean,
yeah,
exactly. Come on.
I mean, like, yeah, I mean, the whole, like, and of course we're gonna get to that, but like the dance scene, like the way they she so naturally just like grabbed his hand and they led to the dance. Like it was just such a couple move.
Yes.
You know.
Okay. Yes. Before we get to Nathan and Elizabeth's dance, I love how
we gotta hurry up.
I love how Faith walks up to Tom and asks him to dance, and then as he's walking away with Faith, he says, haven't you heard? It's the 20s.
That was such a fitting line. Such a fitting line. Love that.
Yeah. And then Nathan and Elizabeth, wallflower, huh?
I love how she just kind of like, she was like, they were obviously staring at each other. But because she kind of probably felt just a little awkward doing it because she's never really, other than like the ladies' choice dance and like her going up to Jack, the one time at their dance, which was also in the saloon.
Yes.
And she went to him. That was a ladies' choice dance, though.
Yeah.
With this one, it wasn't. She was having to go and initiate the dance. And you could just kind of see her being a little, I love how Aaron kind of made Elizabeth seem a little awkward. And she was like looking around and like slowly sauntering over to Nathan. And that's when she's like, oh, wallflower, huh? He's like, well, no one's asked me to dance.
Yeah.
He's like, well, I could change that.
I think it was Teresa who made a parallel edit and posted it last night after the episode of the scene from season 3 when she walks up to Jack and she's like, looks like you got stood up.
It was so cute.
It was the Kindness Week episode with Hattie and the pasta necklace with Rosemary Moore.
I loved that so much.
But that was a cute little parallel.
It was so cute. And I love that we have so many, and that's what's so great about like Hope Valley is like nothing's really changed as far as like the buildings and stuff like that. It's the same saloon, same cafe, same Mountie station. And it's like all of these memories just chock full in these small little buildings.
Yeah.
I love how
the way she took his
naturally
hand.
like grabbing his hand.
And then did you notice the thumb caress from Nathan?
Yes, I did, because that's like the one thing that I've always just like loved in that kind of scenes. And I love that he didn't like put her hand on his shoulder or whatever. I love that he still had it and he had it up against his chest. Dead. Love it.
Not my heart, Nathan Grant.
Oh my gosh. I was just like, and the way that they were just like gazing at each other and just like held so tight to each other and just like, the smiles they were giving each other and how soft but so loving. Just like, oh my gosh.
The callback to earlier in the episode when Nathan gives Jack the change for the candy apple with, I never said yes, or I didn't say yes. Yeah, but you were gonna.
I know. It was so cute. I love that.
Okay, this was not my original thought, but I do agree with it. I mean, you were gonna is total foreshadowing. Total foreshadowing. I think
I do have to agree.
This is how I think it's gonna play out. Probably in episode 11, because I do think that they're going to get married, and I'll share my reasons why. in a second, but here's how I think things are gonna go. I think Elizabeth is going to be the one to ask Nathan to marry her, and something like, and that line's going to come back into play. You know, one of them is going to say, I didn't say yes, and the other's going to say, yeah, but you were gonna.
Yeah, I actually kind of hope that it's Nathan, because if it goes by the order of things, Nathan was the first one to say it.
Yeah,
right.
It could be Nathan,
and then
too.
Elizabeth was. And then it would be kind of fun if Nathan was the next one to do it again. Kind of like almost like a tag your it almost thing. Like, oh, I said it last time, now it's your turn to say it kind of thing. But no, I love the idea. I think that that's really cute and really different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that wraps up episode 8. Is there anything else we missed?
Yeah.
I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, because we already kind of talked about the Henry, Lucas, and Edwin scene in his office.
Yeah, we didn't get any. Yeah. We didn't get any Mike and May the past 2 weeks, which is very telling. I'm sorry, I love Mike and May, but I just don't see their wedding this season. I don't
want them to rush their relationship.
Yeah.
I want their relationship to be something that's sweet and just kind of like a side thing that we get to enjoy from now and then, you know, kind of in the background, them holding hands or standing close by each other during like events, or like seeing them dancing at this in the saloon when they have an event.
I'm not
I mean, they could still like have like a almost wedding kind of thing, but yeah, I never have ever believed that they would actually get married.
I just don't see it. Like, it wouldn't make sense.
No. Yeah.
Like, I think it's very telling, because the last time we saw them as a couple, it was the second to last scene in episode 6. And everything from then on, like, you know, the scene after their date was the porch scene with Nathan and Elizabeth. And then, you know, episode 7 and 8 has really been mostly Nathan and Elizabeth and the choir stuff.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense, but I do love them. I won't rule out an engagement though, because I do think that's what the pink dresses are for.
Yeah, I kind of like, I really love that theory of like the women wearing pink and the men wearing red. And the whole, you know, Chinese engagement theory.
Yeah, that is a thing.
Know what that is. Yeah, if you guys don't know what that is, if you look up Chinese engagement party, you'll kind of see what we're talking about. I think that's what it's called, a Chinese engagement party.
I think it's called a Ting Han, if I pronounce that right. I might have butchered that pronunciation, but
I mean, that's okay. If anything, just search and Google Chinese engagement
parties.
Yeah, and the women wear pink and the men wear red. So yeah, and we didn't really see a lot of the, oh no, it wasn't red, it was purple. And the couple were red.
Yes, the couple wears red.
That's what it was. Because like we noticed how a lot of the men were wearing purple and a lot of the women were wearing pink. If you go back and look at the video from different ones doing the hearts, you know, we noticed that, like, you know, that a lot of them were wearing pink, and like a lot of them were wearing pink and purple. And then Mike and May are supposed to wear red.
Yeah, and then that on location video that was very recent, I think it was posted last week, of Mike Hickam and all of his jobs, Ben was wearing a red tie.
That would be really cute. I wouldn't put it past an engagement. That would be fine. That would be fine. Especially because like this Hickam has been on this show since season 1, and it's season 11.
Yeah, he deserves a love story.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that far-fetched for him to be quick with his relationship with May. Seeing as this is technically the first and only relationship we've ever really seen him in.
No. Or yes, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said no.
Right.
But yeah, so, I think it's going to be an engagement for them, and like a quick, not necessarily elopement, but like on the fly wedding for Nathan and Elizabeth.
They get engaged. Well, no. I was kind of thinking, because like I feel like pink and purple and all that would be kind of like, if they're actually going to do a Chinese engagement, I kind of wonder if that would be before Nathan and Elizabeth get married.
I think that Nathan and Elizabeth are going to get married in episode 11 because it says they take a leap of faith, and then in episode 12 it says wedding celebration, as if a wedding has already happened. Like that's what the synopsis says. So
yeah,
I think that they're going to do something like on the fly, probably where Bill marries them.
Yeah, I definitely see Bill being the one marrying them.
And
I can't see anybody else doing it.
And then they celebrate with the town.
Yeah.
In episode 12.
No,
and maybe like renew their vows in front of the town. Or like say their vows again a second time. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. That'd be nice.
I definitely think that the Dylan storyline is going to bring them closer.
Yeah, I think it's going to add a new dynamic into their relationship. I think it's going to make both of them get some realization about what it is that they want in their life.
Yeah,
for sure. And I feel like it's just going to give them that extra push to be more bold with each other.
I agree. And I'm trying to remember what was said in the live.
I just watched the Dylan episode that we had in season 8. And Nathan never tells Elizabeth anything about Dylan. So I think that's going to make her have some realization that Nathan does have some own parts of his past that she doesn't know about.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember what was said in the live last night with Sarah and Joy after the show. But I could be a little off on this, but I think if I remember correctly, they were talking about how, like I just said, the Dylan storyline is going to bring them closer and really figuring out that, yes, they do want to get married. And I don't remember if it was Sarah or Julie, or maybe both of them, like in agreement, said that, like, after Nathan and Elizabeth, go get Allie from, trying to see Dylan, Allie is gonna ask, about having a mother, because
or at least make it kind of known, like, I don't have a mom.
And what if something happens to Nathan?
Yeah.
Or my dad, which we know nothing is going to happen to Nathan, but theoretically,
I mean, it's understandable for someone at her age, having known that she lost her mom, and then her dad's an unfit dad, doesn't want her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It would be understandable for Allie to suddenly get a really big emotional, realization, like, hey, there's like something can happen to you. Yeah. And what does that mean?
And I feel like, I think one of them said this, I can't remember if it was Sarah or Julie, but I think one of them said, like, once they all get back, like Nathan, Elizabeth, and Allie, from the whole Dylan thing, like after they go get her and they come back to Hope Valley, maybe one of them said Allie could bring up something like, are we really just going to keep
dancing around,
or like not being together, like going to two separate row houses, like, why don't we just do the thing? And that's kind of what reminds me of the Parent Trap, the very end, because at the very end of the Parent Trap,
I feel like Allie is gonna, I feel like this is gonna be the episode where Allie really gives Elizabeth her true feelings on the fact that her and Nathan are kind of getting to that place where they are going to officially start courting, because technically they haven't officially said anything about courting. They just kind of danced a little bit around it, kind of like played around with it, kind of got, they've had a lot of serious moments, like the hand touching, the dancing, laying the head on the shoulders, having close-knit conversations on the porch, but they haven't really for sure said, like, oh, we're courting. Oh, me and you are together. So I feel like that would be more along the lines of it. I feel like, and Allie's just like, just don't take, like, maybe she said something kind of like towards Nathan of like, yeah, don't take too long to like actually ask her to marry you though, like, making a passing comment towards Nathan maybe. But I definitely see a conversation between Allie and Elizabeth happening that's been needing to happen, especially after the aftermath of season 8.
I think it will. And
Yeah.
I was just trying to say, like, with are we really going to keep going to 2 separate roadhouses, and how that reminded me of The Parent Trap? Like the end of that movie, I can't remember if it was, I think it was the dad.
Hallie and her dad came
went to London. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the parents decided, we can't just keep going back and forth between California and London.
Because they were trying to make a situation of how, she was like pretty much saying like we don't need to be in a relationship, we're really bad for each other, we're not on the same page, and like they were trying to figure out, okay, we clearly can't separate them, or else they're going to do this again. Because like even Allie and Hallie were right there in the room, like, are we seriously going to go back to doing this?
Yeah.
And because they started talking about like, oh, you'll get Christmas, you'll get Thanksgiving, we'll split the summers, like you get one summer, the next summer that I'll have them, and all this kind of stuff like that. And it's like,
and
both Annie and Hallie were just like looking at them like, are we seriously going to do this again?
Yeah.
Clearly you have feelings for each other. Clearly we just need to be in one house. Yeah.
Yeah.
It very well could. It very well could. I would not put it past Allie to being that bold, but I'm just going to keep my expectations like this, that there is going to be a serious conversation. It is going to bring a lot of serious conversations, not only for Nathan and Elizabeth, about like between them, but also like as parents to like, especially with Elizabeth having such a close relationship with Allie, and obviously Nathan being her dad and the whole situation.
Yeah.
We know that they do have a porch scene together where they talk about it, about how Elizabeth kind of brings up like, you can't keep it. You can't not talk to her about this, forever. You're going to have to talk to her about it. She's eventually going to find out on her own. So you'd want it to come from you.
Yeah. I mean, it could be Nathan that says that if they go that route too. I mean, it might not be Allie. Yeah,
for sure.
I could see Nathan saying that more than I could Allie.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much so. But yeah, I'm kind of keeping my expectations low.
I understand that.
I wouldn't go against that. I would be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I totally understand, like, trying to keep expectations low, but
yeah, I'm just enjoying the journey. If they get married at the end of the season, they get married at the end of the season. I'll be hooping and hollering along with everybody else. I'm just enjoying actually being able to breathe and watch the show and not feel like that tightness in your chest of like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like getting excited, but not feeling like the anxious side of like, oh, is this like a red herring? Is she really going to choose Lucas? The whole situation again. So I'm glad that we're able to finally breathe and enjoy just the moments that they're having together.
Yeah,
and I'm really excited for this episode because I've been waiting for Dylan Parks to come back.
Yeah.
Especially because, Elizabeth didn't know anything about it. She had her suspicions, you could tell. But she obviously never knew who Dylan was. She didn't know who the man was. So I'm excited for how they're going to play that out.
Yeah.
Like what her reaction is going to be to that. Because I don't think we're actually going to see Dylan. I don't think Allie's going to make it that far. But I think just the whole scenario, Elizabeth's going to realize, okay, that's who Allie's dad is.
I think, along with the Dylan storyline, I think the Mountie stuff in episode 11, sure. I think that's going to push the.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the final thing. That's going to be the final thing that really drives it home for Elizabeth, because that's always been the biggest thing. That's always been what's weighed on her.
I think that's going to be the thing that causes the on-the-spot wedding at the end of episode 11.
Yeah.
Or like on the spot.
We know that because like even with her anxiety attack that she had last season, Nathan didn't know anything about that. He never saw her fear.
No.
He still hasn't completely, he did like in the second episode of season 8. But really and truly, if you look back at all the seasons, Nathan has never really truly seen her in that fear mode.
No.
So it'll be interesting if you'll actually get to see her in those feelings.
Yeah.
And how he reacts. Like, that's what I want.
Yes.
Out of those mountain statements. I want him to actually see her in that emotional state and being able to be there for her and say exactly what she needed to hear and be able to, comfort her.
I think we will. Like, yeah.
I really hope so. I really hope, because I feel like that's what's really going to change Elizabeth and really help her with her fears to actually know, like, hey, it's right here. He sees this in me and he's okay. And I'm okay. And it's going to be okay.
And I think we're going to get, if I were to make a guess, the scene with Nathan and Jack in episode 10, because I think that's the one that says Elizabeth realizes Jack is growing up.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Some exciting stuff, guys.
I'm excited for episode 9. We got the chat. I know. We're getting the chat with Rosemary, the great scene.
I know we actually might, we probably won't get the date this episode, but I'm hoping that we do get at least one. Like, I want at least one.
I don't think a date's happening until they're married.
I'm just saying, like, at least maybe half of one. Maybe they actually make it to the date, but it's like halfway interrupted or something.
Okay.
Come on.
I think the picnic is going to be the end of the episode, and then Nathan's going to find out about Allie, and they're going to ride off together, and that's going to be the cliffhanger.
Oh,
I don't think they're getting any dates till they're married, which would make it different for Hallmark and unexpected.
It would make it different for Hallmark. Yeah, for sure. It would be, I would be fine with that. It would bring a new dynamic to their dates.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that they actually do go on dates, though. Because you know how they act with married couples.
They will. I'm sure that they will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want a date.
I'm sure we'll get some when they're married.
Yeah. But I want some this season.
I know. Yeah.
But maybe but like I said, I think I said this off camera. I don't think we were recording. But I find it funny that Nathan and Elizabeth were supposed to have their family date. So episode 1 of season 8 was when Dylan came to town.
Yep.
Well, that was whenever he came back from doing everything with Dylan. That's when he told Elizabeth, like, would you go on a date with me tonight? And she was like, oh, I don't think I can have Lauren babysit Jack. He's like, oh, well, how about we all go together? And like, that's when Mrs. Bouchard comes into town, and like that upsets Elizabeth and causes her to basically cut the date off.
Yeah.
And it disappoints Nathan and everything like that. And then now we might be getting a date on the same episode where Dylan Parks comes back again.
Wouldn't that be something? Erin did confirm there was a family scene this season. Ooh. But she didn't say what episode. But if I were to guess, it probably has to be.
Yeah, because I feel like Allie's going to be going through a lot in this episode. So I know that
it probably won't be this week.
It could. You never know.
Never know.
A lot of opportunities in all of these episodes. From the rest of these episodes have a lot of opportunities for that. And, I'm just saying, if it is this episode, I feel like it would be after everything.
Yeah. And
they're all maybe at Elizabeth's row house, and they're just kind of like, all exhausted from the whole ordeal, like emotionally for sure, with Allie, even Nathan.
Yep.
Also, I want to see more of the inside of Nathan and Allie's row house.
Oh, we're getting that this week.
Okay, good.
There is a scene with Nathan and Allie inside the house, or two. The one where she's looking at the photo album, and the one where she says she wants to meet her dad.
I did see that. Okay, I did see that. Good, because I feel like there's still so much that I want to see before they join houses.
Yeah. Not Nathan. Jack's getting a pony. I'm so excited.
I love that we're finally getting to see some interaction between Bill and Little Jack, especially with him being his godfather.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
So I'm glad that they're finally bringing a little bit of something like that. And plus, I feel like Bill needs it right now with everything going on with the case and him being a little bit fun.
Yeah.
In the midst of all the things going on.
Yeah. We probably should wrap this up. I don't know how long we've been at.
Oh gosh, I have no clue. I can't look at my phone right now.
It's 9:30.
That means it's 8:30 my time. Okay, we definitely need to wrap this up because we've
Yes,
been going on for like 3 hours.
let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else last minute that I want to bring up. And we did see, I think the only other thing is we did see the porch swing. I mean, why do I keep saying porch swing? The porch scene with Nathan and Elizabeth from Good TV. The photo
We did. Yeah.
with her in
we
the
did.
journal. I feel like that's going to be episode 10.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Also, on a bit of serious note before we wrap up, this was just shared by Johanna, who plays Molly.
Yeah.
I guess on Instagram. I don't know if you've heard, you might have seen it, about Mammy, who plays Rosaline. Well, she said, update, we are deeply saddened to report that on May 26th, Mammy, who has been in intensive treatment for the past 2 weeks, was escorted out of a secure unit of the hospital and taken up to a balcony walkway from which she fell 5 stories. She sustained life-threatening injuries, has undergone multiple extensive surgeries, and is currently on life support. We are all devastated and shocked at this intensely difficult time. With love and deep gratitude. And then it signs, I guess, her family, like her parents. And
oh my goodness, that is horrific. Oh, we'll definitely be keeping her in.
Yeah, Hardy's send prayers to the cast.
Absolutely.
And her family.
Absolutely. For sure. I can't imagine. So we will definitely be keeping her family, and the rest of the cast in our prayers, because that's definitely something that I would not understand how to process.
Yeah, I did.
Being someone close to her and not just being like a fan is definitely got to be, intense to go through.
Yeah, I did see a post a couple weeks ago about her being in the hospital, but at that point they didn't say what.
Yeah. All right, I think that's it though.
I think we pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, and hopefully next episode it'll be all 3 of us, and we'll be recording our review for next episode.
Yes. Yay. Lots more to come.
So much more, guys.
Yes. And we thank you.
Hot.
It's getting hot. It's about to go from 0 to 100 in like 2 or 3 episodes. But anyway, thank you so much for listening.
Ride.
Parties.
Bye, guys.
We love y'all. Thank you for listening.
Love you.
Bye. See you next week.
See ya.